Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
All right, and welcome to another episode of Mobile Armor Radio. I am your lead host today, Chopper, and I am joined with co-hosts Brian and Rob. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I thought I was left alone there for a second. So, welcome to, this is episode 40, as I like to call it, season 3, episode 4. I got it right this time because we practiced.
Practicing definitely helps.
So, but I guess I digress. So let's move on, huh? We got all the minutiae out of the way. Practiced. We sounded great. You know, this is like, I don't know what the word is. Like butter? Smooth like butter?
Sure.
I think Rob's dead.
I'm just stunned by your intro.
Dropship landing.
Welcome to the Dropship, guys. Let's talk about what we've been working on. Rob, why don't you tell us all the good things you've been working on?
Sure. Before Gen Con, I was starting, and I haven't finished yet, but I'm working on a bunch more by Wave 2 of Battletech Kickstarter. And I got working on 3 stars at once. I got a Nova Cat, a Goliath Scorpion, another Goliath Scorpion, I just did one, and a Snow Raven. I'm trying to get one of at least of every clan done. So
those are the clans: Nova Cat, Goliath, Scorpion,
Snow Raven. Yep.
Snow. All right.
So I've got those 3 stars working on.
I can't help but notice Vacation Guys is not listed.
No, that's you, not me. But yeah. So I got a bunch of those guys going, enjoying the Wave 2 of Battletech. Other than that, I haven't done anything. I don't think. I will post those once they're done, but they're not done yet. So,
all right.
I'm looking around to see if there's anything else I've done. I don't think so. Unfortunately, I have not done much. I will be doing. We'll talk about it in ComStar, but I have a lot more to do next month, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, you lost maybe about 2 weeks. Yeah, coming out for Gen Con.
Yeah. So it was a short month for me. So.
All right, Brian, what have you done since you did not come to Gen Con?
I did not come to Gen Con.
Slacker.
But I've been busy as well. And for the big thing is we have a tournament coming up in Michigan. The Michigan GT is coming up in the first full week of October. So I had a whole bunch of...
Can you give out the information, or you can maybe people want to go to that GT and explain what the GT is?
Yes. So the Michigan GT, short for Grand Tourney, is October 8th through October 10th in Lansing, Michigan. So definitely check it out. You can get to their website at michiganga.com because we like to plug things.
Sure.
And
what tournaments will be played there?
So there is a whole bunch of them, but the ones that definitely are worth checking out would be the Dead Zone tournament.
Screw those Kings of War guys.
I was going to include the Kings of War.
I thought you were just editing only the ones that were good for this show.
For those of the sci-fi flair. Dead Zone is definitely one worth checking out, as well as Dreadball for those that like sci-fi and a little bit of sports mixed in there. And then for those of the fantasy variety, there is a 2-day Kings of War tournament going on. And but yeah, so I'll actually be running the Dreadball tournament. And then a good friend of the show, Rick Hall, is running the Dead Zone tournament. And so as part of that, had to help put together a bunch of terrain. So that's been the big thing on my docket is printing and painting a whole mess of terrain. So it's all set to go. My printer was a little what's the word I'm looking for?
Wonky.
Yeah, it had some growing
Overused.
pains. Maybe a little bit of that. No, the fun thing was like the extruder feed was grinding the filament, and turned out that it was getting plugged up. It was too narrow at the where it was going into the nozzle.
So you had a little disc then.
Yeah. So it was throughout the month. I was like repeatedly trying to print things and having it fail. Mm-hmm. They would like print one layer and then it would just stop. So working through that definitely took up a lot of the hobby time. But I will say I did find like a bunch of really neat 3D prints for Dead Zone, actually. Someone made like 3D crates for items, and they turned out really nice. And I really liked them, so I printed off a whole set to go with the tournament table, which means there was like 12 of these little crates that I had to print one at a time, and with it routinely failing. But yeah, otherwise that definitely took up a bulk of my hobby time, is prepping for that event. And yeah. So how about you, Pat? What have you?
I too have lost several weeks of the month for Gen Con preparation, but I have been working on my Neo Zhong. It's a slow process because there's millions and millions of pieces for this thing, and because I'm too stubborn not to just put it together, I am painting it the way I want to paint it, like I always do, so that's also slowing me down, as I have to prime and then undercoat with like a silver or something, because I want to get that candy apple red going really well, and it's turned out well. I think when it's done, it's going to look really good.
Nice.
But,
just takes time.
Just takes time. It's the labor of love, I guess. What other things the modeling did I finish? I didn't finish up, but I started, and I'm about halfway through working on my minions, I guess, for lack of a better word to call them, the little support guys for my monster in Monster Apocalypse, which is like an Ultraman knockoff. So I'm working on his support stuff, and I'm about halfway through with those guys. So,
you also doing all you're doing all the Cav terrain stuff, weren't you too?
Oh yeah, that's right. So if you kickstarted the last Cav, which a lot of us did, it came with a huge bag of terrain of just different things, and I've been kind of just knocking that out. Just, making it kind of terrain table quality. It's nothing spectacular. It's really a lot of just dry brushing, in all honesty. I did mess around with some pigments to do rust and other stuff on some of the wrecked vehicles, so you make it a little more, I guess, realistic looking and stuff like that. So, but I did cheat with the chip paint, and instead of using like a chipper like I normally would, I used a sponge and some stippling with a brush.
That's not cheating.
Well, I don't call it cheating, but it's, I mean, if these things weren't just terrain pieces and, they're going to be scattered terrain, they're just going to be lumped in a box to be brought out when we play the game, I'd probably put a little more effort into it, but they're going to look good on the table.
Probably better than what I painted up, so.
I think that's all, but I will also, like Rob, have much more to do because I have since picked up a crap ton of stuff.
That's on ComStar.
I understand. I'm just saying, crap ton of stuff. That's as far as I was going to go.
The upcoming projects.
Yeah, because ComStar is going to have a crap ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Message from ComStar.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rick.
From Dead Zone the Podcast.
And you're listening to
Mobile Armor Radio.
All right, guys, welcome to the ComStar. This is where we talk about TVs, movies, books, comic books, RPGs, video games, and fire trucks.
Sometimes fire trucks.
And fire trucks. And why don't we start with you, Brian? What did you got going on?
Oh, boy. Well, for one thing, I finished up my first playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077.
Nice.
Had a really fun time. Managed to do a handful of those endings kind of right then and there, which is always kind of nice to have. But eventually, I think I will play through again from a different standpoint. The downside is like I think I often don't play through games like that differently, so it's just I'm giving it some time so that it doesn't feel like I just did this again.
Were you a cyberpunk guy or like a?
Yeah, I was a street kid.
But were you using like what do they call them? The hacks, or were you using guns or swords or?
I was predominantly a hacking and gun wielding. The like small arm pistols and revolvers was kind of my go-to. Definitely had a lot of fun. Really didn't run into most of the bugs that people were really complaining about.
Well, I think by now they fixed most of them. Like you're playing it a year after it was really bad, I guess. But
true. There's definitely a lot of patches came through because I got it. I waited until it came out on the PlayStation 4 network.
Yeah. Because
they had, at least at the time of downloading, the free upgrade to PS5 deal.
So in
don't
case
have
you
a
get a
PS5 yet.
Future-proofing.
Hopefully eventually I'll get one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the game. As far as bugs go, there was nothing worse than playing Fallout when it first comes out.
Yeah.
So, no, it was a really fun time. Like I think I mentioned in the last one, a lot more Keanu Reeves than I was actually expecting, which was a good thing. It was a different Keanu than I was used to, but
yeah, he's a bit
still
of a
good
jerk.
time. Yeah. And then with that, I just kind of had the hankering to play Metal Gear Solid.
Like the original?
Yeah.
Oh.
which was kind of fun. I kind of had that realization. It's like, you know what? I only ever played the Twin Snakes version, which was the GameCube remake. Yeah. And I had watched this video that really kind of compared and contrasted the two. A lot more negative things leveled at the Twin Snakes. They did change like certain music cues. They added a bunch of different things and really changed the dynamic of some gameplay elements because it basically let you, for those unfamiliar, the GameCube remake basically took the engine from Metal Gear Solid 2, which let you do things like go into first person and you have a tranquilizer gun and stuff like that. You don't have any of that in the original Metal Gear Solid.
You have a box you can hide in.
You have a box you can hide in. That is still there. But you didn't have any kind of tranquilizing gun. So you could stun guys by punching them a lot. That was about it. And so it was really kind of fun to go back to that original version and play through it all. Really surprised that it didn't take me that long. Probably helped that I kind of knew where I needed to go. But
is that the one you fight Psycho Mantis and you have to turn your computer off or your machine off? Not.
Yeah. So Psycho Mantis is in there. You have to switch it to controller port 2.
That's what it was. Yep, I knew that. It was the X-Men game that you had to do hit reset on your thing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's like, how do you get past this? It says right on the screen, hit reset. You're like, really? So eventually you get fed up and you hit reset and it actually works. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it was controller 2, that's right, because he knew everything you were doing, right? I remember that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could read your moves.
That's right.
But no, it was really fun to really kind of dive back into that. And then after doing that, I'm like, well, it's been a while. Let's go and play Metal Gear Solid 2. And so I jumped into that game. I'm actually almost through that one as well. Both of them, like, in the grand scheme, even if you're, struggle a little bit, they're both, like, within 10 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, we've been spoiled nowadays with, like, games that are, like, 60-plus hours. It used to be the games weren't that long.
and it is a thing, like, with these games, I think a big part of their replay, like, the replayability factor is that you do get rated, based on like how often you were spotted, how many guys you killed, I forget all the metrics in the first game. It's like how many rations how many healing items you had to use.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff factors in, and you get ranked with like a code name at the end. And so I remember when like number 3 and 4 came out, I got them as they were coming out. That was something where after playing through the game the first time, it's like, all right, I'm gonna try a complete stealth no kill run. Oh darn, that cutscene killed a guy, so ruined that. It's and I won't take too much longer on this, but it was fun to go back to the Metal Gear Solid franchise where it is very linear. It is one long story from beginning to end, as opposed to Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, where it's much more sandbox. It's a lot more of like, okay, you can go here to this location whenever you want. You can approach it from any angle. It makes for like that definitely is a fun way to do it too. But like the polish you get going through a very linear and crafted story is still really, really well done.
Yeah, I think that's the lost art nowadays in video games, is the actual story. Now it's kind of like you discover the story as you go. It's not told to you like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and then, yeah, Metal Gear Solid, like that franchise itself, like so much of what you learn about the world is told through these kind of optional conversations you can have with your support team. Like going through the game, if you weren't calling these people constantly to chat with them, like not a lot is given to you.
Yeah.
And like as far as like figuring things out, so it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm almost through 2. I'm going back and forth on if I'm going to play 3. I absolutely love 3. 3 is among my favorite games of all time. I just know that there's a lot more in my backlog that I should probably be getting to, as opposed to doing a whole playthrough. But I have been kind of wanting to pick up 4 again, so it's kind of playing like the future games as opposed to the ones that take place in the past. But yeah, then I think the only other thing is that I'm gearing up to finally watch the Evangelion movie. In that I'm finally got Amazon Prime ready, all set to go. And so I basically just really want to watch that third movie again to really kind of remember where we left off, because it's been a long time since that one came out, and I really have only watched it like twice. So definitely gonna get back to that and find some time, because I think that the new movie is like 2.5 hours long. So I'm excited to see the conclusion of that series.
And those kind of movies aren't the ones that you can put on the background and get the gist of them.
No, you gotta pay attention to those.
You gotta pay attention to Evangelion.
Yeah.
But your mileage and your mileage may vary with that franchise, all things considered. But I think I've talked enough about that. So, Rob, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I obviously went to Gen Con. I traveled to Chicago to meet up with Pat. Hung out with him for a little bit beforehand. Went to Gen Con and then came home a little bit after that. And we did a lot of things. Let's see. Mech related? We definitely played Redline. We did a game of Redline.
We got two or three games, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, at least. But I remember all the games I played, I never got a single heavy Ifrit on the board. So
you got every light and every medium you had in that deck out at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but never a heavy. So I still have yet to see a heavy on the what are they called? The Earth side. Not the,
it's frontline, red line, the front line, and baseline.
Yeah. Anyways, I've never played one. And, so we play a lot of Redline, which is fun. So that we're waiting for the next Kickstarter just finished, so we'll be getting in on that eventually. I think it's supposed to come in November or something like that, the next one. So we got to get some more games in before that expansion comes out.
Definitely.
We went to Noble Knight Games in Wisconsin. First time I've been in Wisconsin. Brian's homeland. So
yes,
it was a unique experience going to Wisconsin. We went to Noble Night Games. At first we're like, oh, it's just a game store, and then we found the discount dungeon, which we spent quite a bit of time in, right, Pat?
Yeah.
I haven't been there since they got moved to their new location.
Oh, it's huge.
And by new location, I think this move happened like 2 years ago at this point. Mm-hmm. But no, it looks huge.
It's a good looking store. I mean, they got it. It's nice and clean. They got it nice. They have like a collector's wall, like where you can get some of the really expensive stuff. Like, what was some of those out of print games that I was like, why is this out of print? And
a lot of games you already owned, but yeah. Oh, Battlestar, I think, Battlestar.
Oh yeah, one of the Battlestar. Yeah, because they don't print that anymore.
The Battlestar board game.
The Fantasy Flight game, they had them on there because they're out of print, and they had the one hard expansion. I can't remember, not the Pegasus, but the other one.
Yeah.
I have it. Gosh, what is it called? Like Daybreak.
Well, they're going for a lot of money, Brian. So you might want to sell those.
Nice, because we're talking like $600.
Oh.
They had a lot of the old like Avalon Hill games and things like that on the wall. Like I don't think they had a what's the game you're looking for?
Me?
Which game? Yeah, you were looking for the old what's it called? Hero Quest. It wasn't. I don't think Hero Quest is there.
No, they didn't see it.
But they were quite expensive. Quite a few expensive games. But then in the discount dungeon though, everything was super cheap. So we went crazy. We bought a ton of books. I found all the 3 original Cav books for $3 each, so I bought all those for history's sake.
Yeah, I got the same.
Tons of stuff. I got a bunch of Babylon 5 role-playing game books, really cheap. It was. I could have stayed a lot longer in that discount dungeon. We just kind of skimmed through it, and it still took us a good hour.
Yeah, I mean, because they had a lot of books, and we kind of skimmed through the books, so we could have sat there and read every spine.
Plus, they had like magazines and everything we never even looked through, but yeah, a lot of stuff. So that was fun. It was fun going to Noble Night Games.
There's a lot of Trivial Pursuit too. So if you're looking for Trivial Pursuit,
yeah, that's right.
I actually got my first Dreadball team at Noble Night.
Oh, nice.
A good selection of quite everything, really. I also bought a Cthulhu card game there and some others. Pat, you bought an expansion for Wingspan, I think.
For my wife, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I bought some new paints that I can't find.
You still haven't found them? Yeah.
No.
They're in their house somewhere, or your dog ate them. One of the two.
Oh well, he doesn't have a red face, so.
After that, though, on the way home, we Pat heard of this Gunpla kind of store, I guess.
Yeah, there was. I guess we're combining our comms.
Yeah, might as well. We did everything together, so yeah.
Yeah, I had remembered on our way home that there was a new Gunpla store that opened on the far west suburbs, but it happened to be on the way home off 90. And so I said, hey, you want to stop at the Gunpla store and check it out? And we did, and that store's called Rhino Hobbies in Elgin, Illinois. I don't have the exact address, but you can look it up on the Facebook.
We'll have the link to the Facebook group, and it'll have everything there.
Yeah, and it's a nice little store, and they had quite a few model kits.
Well, it's odd getting there because we drive up, and it's on the front. It's all like storage area, but they have all these storefronts behind it. And it was like, oh, okay. We thought we were like in some.
Yeah, what you're seeing from the back is the loading dock doors.
Yeah, but that's the front. Like that's the way the building's set. It's really odd, but yeah, nice little store. A lot of Gundams in there. A lot of other things. And they have
a nice little work area that you can come build and spray and like that. They have build kit nights there, so it's a pretty nice store. It looks like it's going to be a nice little friendly atmosphere. I think last Friday some guy was doing a come learn to play Gundam skirmish game. Just bring some HD kits.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Set up a table, and the guys showed people how to play. So I wasn't able to go out there and check it out because I was really interested in checking out that game. Mm-hmm. So I was going to make the drive. It's a bit of a drive for me. It's about a 40-minute drive for me. But I was thinking about making it just to check out that Gundam, but I didn't get a chance to. So
they had a bunch of kits that all the people that go there make on the walls and in displays, and some perfect grade stuff on the wall that we were just amazed by. So it was a really cool place to see. And
I got to brag about my Neo Zhang kit.
Yeah, that nobody seems to be able to get. I found a round facer model from Dougram, which is one of the Battletech. I think it's a Griffin, maybe.
Yeah, it's the Griffin because I got the other Dougram. That's the Battlemaster.
Yeah, so it's found that there, so I bought that, which was super cheap too. It was like he had like a little discount area I happened to grab. And Pat, you grabbed a bunch of stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah. So at Rhino's, I got Ultraman. The Ultraman kit that's got a lighted piece so it lights up his chest and his eyes, but it's from the Netflix cartoon, so it's the Ultraman suit, mech suit. So, and what's really cool about it is it has the different weapons that you can add to it. I know we talked about this once before in an episode way, way back when Ultraman first came out, but this kit's actually really cool. So keep an eye out for that because once I get the Dio Zhang done, that's going to be next.
So 2024, look out for that kit.
Yeah, exactly. I might put my nose to the grinder and actually crank out this kit on my days off because usually I've been waiting for us to do hobby night to work on it, but I might just go down there and start doing it.
Yeah, we've been slacking.
Other things I did get while we're talking about this in Gen Con loot. When Rob came in, he brought me these are my Wave 2 for Battletech, which was
Wave 1.
Oh, and Wave 1. So I didn't realize it was both. So I got all the Inner Sphere stuff that I like because I didn't want any of the clan stuff. But I have tons of lances to paint. I have a battle lance, I have a striker lance, a support lance, a command lance.
I believe you got every single Inner Sphere lance that was available from the Kickstarter.
I don't know what a Surrect fire lance is. What is Surrect?
Oh, it's supposed to be direct, but it's
that's what I thought. I was like, is that supposed to be direct?
Yeah.
And then I have a heavy lance, and then smattering of other.
You got two ComStar ones too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but unlike Rob, I am not going to paint different.
Are they all going to be Steiner
houses? They're all going to be Steiner.
Oh Jesus! So, you'll be able to have a 10,000 point army.
Yeah, because it's going to be easier for me just to paint them all, and I'll have one color.
No, I want variety. You got a variety.
Yeah. But it'll look good in the case and on the table if they all match though.
And Pat had for me GKR, so I finally have a copy of GKR from
Nice.
Weta. That's who makes it. So I finally have a copy of that with the beautiful mechs inside there. So I'm excited with that. Then we went to Gen Con. I don't think anything else happened before we went to Gen Con. We played a few more games, but I don't think we played anything else mech related. But Gen Con...
Yeah, we never got downstairs to set up a board for Cav.
No, you had to clear off your Neo Zhang was on that table that we would have played on, so it was kind of taking up the whole table. So we went to Gen Con. It was a lot more subdued this year than normal because of all the chaos in the world. And they had the rumor was that they limited down to 20,000 people, but nobody really knew how many people were there. But it was a lot less. Hey, Pat?
Yeah, you could definitely tell it was a lot less. We never got a chance to go walk around outside of the dealer hall.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it looked like in there because usually outside the dealer hall, it's pack to pack, wall to wall people outside the dealer hall and shoulder to shoulder in the exhibit hall. So.
But even coming in the morning, like we were in the exhibit hall working for Mantic, but even coming in the morning to go into the exhibit hall, we go in early to set up. It's usually tons of people waiting there in the halls, and there wasn't any of that. It was empty. I never once had to fight through a crowd. Yeah,
and normally the thing about Gen Con that pisses me off is the crowds.
Yeah.
Or the 17 people walking in a line with a backpack.
Huge
all
backpacks,
turned in opposite directions, so it's just a wall of blocking backpacks trying to get through.
Yeah, especially with those new backpacks, the ones that hold all the games, those super huge ones.
I have those bags too, but don't wear them as backpacks because they're at least 24 inches wide.
Yeah, they're super wide. It's like doubles your width. But anyways, other than that, it usually takes an hour to get from the booth to a bathroom or stuff like that. Anytime you leave the booth, you're trapped for a while. But this was quick. We're gone and back in 10 minutes. It was nothing. Lots of dealers weren't there. The hall was, I'd say, about half empty.
Oh, wow.
It was very subdued.
About a quarter empty.
Well, there's that whole one section that they had closed off that wasn't even open. That used to be full of things. And the other end wasn't even open. So, and there's a lot of empty spots. There was actually an empty spot right next to us, which is unusual. But it was still fun. We we got to go to all the places we want to go. Catalyst was there, saw those guys, and bought a lot of stuff from those guys. Gale Force 9, of course. Pat always has to hit those guys up because they have a lot of stuff he wants. So
yeah. But we did get the Ilkham books from Catalyst while we were there.
Yeah, and some TROs that I didn't have. I also got the Tamar Rising. You never got that one because it sold out. I bought that the first day. But so I got the Tamar Rising, was there early. These are all the new books for the Catalyst Battletech ones. I also got Transformers Deck Builder. We both did.
We both did.
And the G.I. Joe one. Game. Yeah, we played a game of that.
Transfer game is fun.
Once we learned how to play it.
It took a while to read it. I'm not going to lie. If you buy this game, you're going to have to read that instruction book like 2 or 3 times, or read it once and then literally play turn by turn reading the book again. Because
that's kind of how we did it in the end anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good read.
Oh, it's not clear at all. Like and our other friend Brian, he bought the G.I. Joe one. He said the exact same thing about G.I. Joe one. It's just poorly written. Like, it's a fun game, but poorly written.
Instructions. So once you get to learn how to play the game, then it's fun. But the learning part is tedious.
Well, it's not even the learning part, because the game itself runs quick and easy. It's the instructions are overly complicated. Like, it's walls of text. And misprinted, yeah.
Because, like, the picture, like, they'd show a picture of the example, and what they're describing the narrative of the picture of the example is not the same picture.
Yeah, it's like 2 different Autobots that they're talking about. But
jeez.
And the actual game is simple. Like, it's really, you're just the Transformer game. You have like a matrix in front of you, which is, what is it? 4x4, I think 4x5 maybe.
It was 4x4 for 2 players. It's bigger as you put more players on.
Yeah. So you're all you're doing is exploring around. They're turned over cards. It's a card game. So you're just going into each card, and then you have to explore it, and you look. And you can either be in vehicle mode, which lets you run around faster, but you fight worse, or you can be in robot mode, which you fight better, but you're slower. And yeah, you're using cards to move, you're using cards to explore, and you're using cards to fight. And it's really fun. Like the first time you turn over like a Decepticon, you have to battle. It's like, oh no, we got to fight this guy, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and there's 3. You got to fight. There are 3 bosses, and there's 2 modes. There's a competitive mode, which is what we played, and there's a cooperative mode, which I didn't even bother to read because trying to figure out how to play normally was rough enough as it was.
Yeah, the extra level was like, let's just do this, okay?
We're just play competitive anyways.
And it wasn't even that competitive anyways. You don't fight each other ever. So it's not, you're trying to get points, and whoever the more points won, that's the only thing. You
can play cards to stop the other guy. In that sense, it's competitive.
Yeah. And you kind of steal some of their valor at points when you're fighting somebody. If you're injured, the other guy can jump in and help you, which gets him points, so you don't want him to get points.
Whether you want help or not.
Yeah. But I was who was I? I was man.
You were your favorite. You were your favorite. What's his name?
He's not my favorite, but you were Jazz, right?
I was Jazz because Jazz is my favorite. Because who doesn't love Scatman Crothers?
I can't remember who I was. I keep thinking Blue Streak. Wheeljack. That's what I was. Wheeljack.
You were Wheeljack.
Yeah. So I was running around in car form the whole time until I had to start fighting. But it was fun running around in car form. But it's a really fun, like, for being very simple, it had a lot of neat mechanics that I thought worked really well. Except for the book, which had walls of text that weren't necessary because it was a simple game.
And it was a hard read. Like, I kept falling asleep reading it.
Like, literally pages of little text that had no pictures. Like, it's strange. It's such a simple game that if you just had, like, illustrations, you could have explained that game a third of the time. So,
yeah.
Whoever designed the rule book, you're not very good at designing rule books.
Yeah. If you're listening, take a second and slim it down. Redo it for the sake of the game. Because it's a fun game. It is really a fun game.
And it's not it's not that the rules are complex. It's the way they described them were complex. It was just odd.
You know, and I can see people who have a shorter patience than I be like, I just don't understand this book, and they'd be done with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is a shame when that happens.
Yeah, because it's fun. It is quite a fun game.
So if you get it, trust us. Stick
it's
through
worth,
it. It's
worth just reading it.
It's worth it in the end. And once you figure it out, then you can just burn that thing like in an effigy or something.
As Pat said, start playing it as you're reading, because that really makes it clear pretty quick. Like, it's pretty much move, explore, do whatever the card says that when you flipped it over. You can either buy the card or fight it or, not even what it is.
Yeah.
and you're just trying to get enough energon to buy more stuff, and it's fun. Anyway,
it's got sound mechanic though, because it's got like a. I guess we could talk about it. There is a nice mechanic where there is the text of the card you can do, and then there's an energon cost text that you can do in addition to the main text.
So you can boost up abilities. Like
I was burning through my energon drawn from my deck, looking to get more. I forget what they call it for power. I'm looking for more power because you pay in power the cost of the card, and sometimes to get more expensive cards, you got to get more power, but you can only have 5 cards in your hand.
Yeah, so you have to like buy better cards to give you more power. Obviously, like any deck building game.
So I would build up my hand by just keep buying more and more cards for that turn, because at the end of the turn, you discard everything and draw a new hand.
Yeah, so if something's really expensive, you'd have to try to look through or you had to fight somebody that's really hard. You're trying to go through your deck to get the right cards to be able to do what you want to do on that card. It was fun. I was able to get Jetfire at some point, so I was very happy.
Yeah, I did lose. I think I didn't lose by a point, didn't I?
I think I lost by 1 point, yeah. I won by 1 point. And, otherwise, pretty fun. I don't know if we did anything else mech-related. We survived. We got back. I had to fly back to Canada, so I got tested. So I'm zombie-free, so I'm good. So
I too am zombie-free.
Well, hopefully.
but we were we will also preface that we were also very, very careful. We didn't do a lot of.
Yeah, Indy was a little open for us, but we ate a lot in the room and stuck to ourselves.
Indy didn't really care about other people's welfare, so.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I haven't heard about any outbreaks or anything, so I think it was overall Gen Con, they did what they had to do. It was mask mandated, everybody was wearing a mask, and I think other than one person, everybody wore a mask that we saw. And Pat had to tell one person off that he was in our booth with a mask on. It's like, put your mask on. But I think other than that, it was smooth.
But it was everyone. But I will say that everyone was very, very compliant with wearing masks in the dealer hall. Like I didn't, because I watched people walking around, and for the most part, everyone had their mask on. So
I liked all the cosplayers who had masks that matched their cosplay too. I thought that was really cool.
That's always nice.
Yeah, no, it really was good. Well, I was demoing, Mantic has a game called Armada, which is a ship combat game, like a sales, I forget what they call it, that Age of Sales game, I guess. And it was very popular. We sold out of that. We sold out of all of our Hellboy Kickstarters, so we did quite well for as few people were there. I think there was a lot of everybody was willing to spend their money, which was nice. So, and everybody. We didn't hear about any stabbings or anything like past years, so I think everybody was pretty happy.
There was no fighting amongst the YouTubers.
Yeah, so I think it worked out well.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, so we made it back to Chicago, ate well, and then I flew home, and that was my pretty much my ComStar. I don't think I did anything else, and then I recovered for a few days because it's a lot of food and a lot of travel and hardly any sleep. I think that's a lot of it.
Go ahead.
My ComStar also ends the same way, with Rob leaving and me not doing a damn thing.
I would throw one more thing in, speaking of Mantic, is that Dead Zone 3rd Edition was announced.
That's right.
And is going to be coming out at the end of October, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, end of this month we're getting a whole new version. There is a new mech, actually, in it. The Artificers, the Dwarves, are getting Forge Father's getting a new mech, which is cool.
Yeah, I forget what that thing's called. It's the Artificer, right?
Yeah, they're the Artificers.
The Artificers are the group. Like subgroup of they're not Brockers per se.
Well, the Forge Fathers, they're a different type of Forge Father. Yeah, Forge Fathers, for anybody not in the know, are Space Wars.
Do they know how to make egg fried rice?
Probably.
Probably not. They blow up the planet.
Yeah, so
it's third edition. Second edition was a whole lot of fun. They've been making improvements to it, and third edition, from what we've been told, is really shaping up well and should be a nice, exciting update for it.
Yeah, it's just pretty much cleaning up some stuff that was confusing and clarifying a few things and adding all the FAQs. Not a major change, that was what I was afraid of. I thought they're going to change the game majorly, but the only changes were the ones that we suggested probably about 10 years ago, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, train's coming.
Train's coming.
Train kept it coming all night long. Well, since the train's here, why don't we move on to the MechBay Hanger if we're done here in the ComStar?
Sounds good.
Choo-choo!
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
All right, guys, welcome to the MechBay Hanger, and today's topic is I'm not exactly sure what made me think of this, but it had something to do with Gen Con. I wish I could remember the story. But that being said, so it might have been in like one of the Gen Con things when you talk about something, there's always something that's iconic to it. Like if you talk Battlestar Galactica, the Viper is iconic to Battlestar Galactica or X-Wing or thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think of Cylons when you see a Battlestar, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's, a couple of things. So I was thinking about what is the most iconic thing when we talk about mecha or mechs, and then what is the first thing that you come to mind when you talk about mechs? You automatically go to, Gundams, you mean? Things like that.
Sure.
What do you think, Brian?
Well, like when you first broach the question, obviously the first thing that comes into mind would be the answer. And I fully admit, like, I couldn't help but think of Gundam. Specifically Gundam Wing. And I think, a big part of that is, that wasn't my first mecha show, because I grew up with Robotech and, not the original Voltron, the Go Lion one. I also, watched that growing up. But Gundam Wing was definitely the one where I, like, really distinctly, recognized, like, okay, this is anime and this is giant robots. This is something very special. And so I think that's the one that comes to mind. Obviously, it's that thing where you think about, like, Gundam is a big one, especially for Japan-based media. And I do sometimes catch myself as like, I have actually watched a whole mess of other mecha shows, but a lot of them do just kind of get overshadowed by the Gundam franchises. They've routinely had very strong stories, characters, visuals that are very eye-catching. And so I feel like, at least in my mind, that's kind of where it falls into the most iconic.
Yeah, Gundam also is the most prolific, probably. There's been a new Gundam thing every 5, maybe not less than 5 years for the last 40 years. So there's always been new Gundam things coming out.
Mm-hmm. I myself would say my first exposure to mechs and mecha was Gundam, the original Gundam. But I think where the most of my exposure to this starts to roll into is actually Robotech.
Yeah.
I watched the Gundam movie. I was like, this is great. And then, I saw a couple of smatterings of this and that. But then it didn't really hit me in the face till the Robotechs came out. Can you pluralize Robotech?
Robotechs and Robotechnologies.
So the Robotechnologies came out, and I really got into those. I even, I was reading the books that kind of matched through the cartoons and everything. There was a set of books. I can't remember who. Maybe Del Rey. I think Del Rey was putting them out.
It was Del Rey, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was just the episodes recounted in book form.
Yeah, and so, for me, that I think the most iconic brand would be Robotech, even though it's not my first exposure to mechs.
And it's also not its own, like, it's not a real thing. It's Macross, right?
Yeah.
But for us North Americans...
yeah, we only had Robotech, and then it was only after I got, immersed into Robotech, then you of course, you meet someone who is very anti-Robotech, and then you get exposed to Macross, and you're like, well, okay, I get it, but I don't know why you have to be so vehement about it.
Right. Well, it's funny too, because like I always think about I remember the moment where I realized that there was more Macross, and it was like I'd gone to an anime convention, watched some AMV music video, and it had shots from Frontier, Macross Frontier, which is, CGI mecha space battles and everything like that. And yet, like, I recognized it. Like, I had never seen Frontier before, or any shows other than the Robotech series. And I'm like, this seems so familiar.
Yeah, like,
and I was talking to my buddy Nick, and I'm like, have you ever heard of a show called Robotech? It's like, yeah, there's more of it. I'm like, awesome.
Rob, what do you think is your iconic?
Well, for me, it matters if you say mech or mecha. Those two words, a lot of people think they're interchangeable, but for me, they're totally different. Like, I hear mech. For a mech, obviously it's Battletech. Like, there's not even a question about that.
When I said that, I always said the same thing to you. Are people going to think that we're using mech and mecha interchangeably, or are they two separate things? And I agree with you. I think they're two separate things.
At least in my mind, they are. They're probably technically they're the same thing, but mech definitely seems more North American, where mecha is definitely Japanese. Like that's the way I really see it in my head. And for mechs, it's Battletech for me. That's when I was in high school, I discovered Battletech, and it was huge. And I just fell in love with the designs and the idea of being able to fight giant robots fighting each other. But for mecha, it's for me once again, it's obviously Robotech. It's the very first thing I ever saw anime. It was. I'll have this is a super geeky story. Do you want to hear some history for dear old Rob?
Of course. Do tell.
I was part of as like a child. I was I would guess I was about 8 or 9. I was part of a group of people who just watch old Doctor Who episodes. It was like a club, I guess, technically. And everybody's old. I was like the only young person there.
Is this a high school club?
No, this is old people. This is like in somebody's basement. Oh, and I think I went to, there was a Doctor Who, like traveling museum thing where you go and all the props are there. And they had whoever did that was also part of this club. So then I go to this club and watch Doctor Who episodes that weren't, at the time, you couldn't even watch them. Like maybe VHSs were out, maybe, but it was a lot of stuff that you could not find anywhere. It was on like PBS stations. People would tape them off there and we watch them. Don't worry, my mother was with me, so it's not like I was left alone with these adults. So it's not a tragic story. It's actually a good story. But anyways, before the club, one day I got there early, and the guy it was his house. He was watching. He had Robotech on, and as a little kid, seeing Robotech for the first time just blew my mind. Seeing like the Valkyries flying around and transforming, I was like, obviously I knew about Transformers, but to see this was just it was just ridiculous. I remember the first time you see like the rockets shoot out or the missiles shoot out and the contrails and they all spiral together, and it was just it changed my whole perspective. And that led to Battletech, because once I saw Battletech, I'm like, it reminded me of Robotech. So especially the design, some of the designs are directly from Robotech. So
sure,
yeah. Well, I think would be the next progression for myself, though, is after being immersed with Robotech, then I discovered Battletech, and it did like you. I'm like, oh, look at this! Now you're piloting giant robots, and they're like tanks, and then there's houses, and it's kind of almost like medieval in a sense with the Machiavellian deceptions and the arranged marriages kind of a thing. So it brought a whole nother life to mech/mecha. That was different from Robotech.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I never discovered Gundam until I was probably even an adult. It was a lot later. Like, Gundam was never just on my radar. I probably knew of it, but I never watched any of it until later. Like you say, Gundam Wing probably is where I started watching it. Mm-hmm. And it's
definitely when it hit mainstream.
Yeah, and I was much older by that point. So, so it was definitely those two things for me.
Yeah, I think because Gundam didn't get popular to Gundam Wing is why I say, for me, iconically, Robotech is the brand for mech. Because it's the one that I think most people get started with.
Yeah, it'd be funny to hear like some young people like.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what someone in their early 20s
or even younger, like teenagers, what they think,
or the teens, what they because I mean, of course, our opinions are going to be skewed by our age and our perspective.
I know a lot of people that were like in our anime club and everything that grew up just a little younger than me maybe missed Gundam Wing, Gundam Seed was also an incredibly popular series.
Yeah.
That I think like shortly, followed shortly thereafter. So I think that's maybe kind of the big steps really is like you had Robotech, in the earlier days, and then Gundam Wing was when it hit. I'm gonna put air quotes around mainstream success,
for sure,
because it's still very much a niche. But it
was on like Saturday morning cartoons though. Like when a mech show is on Saturday morning cartoons, then you know it's big. Like those shows were they were readily available. It wasn't like you had to go search them out.
Yeah, and at the same time, like that was also like the late '90s was right around the big, like a golden age of anime because the States were getting a lot more, and voice acting was really took a step up. We had crazy shows like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun and Outlaw Star, and a lot of other great shows came out around this time, and yeah, so it was a great time for anime. And
it was the '90s too when BattleTech got bought out with HeroClix, right?
Yeah, that was when the WizKids started. Yeah,
because I
actually have some of those, the BattleTechs with the little clickers on them.
I have quite a few of them.
I would hate to say it, but I wonder if it could be argued that BattleTech got more. What's the word I'm looking for? More
exposure.
More exposure with the clicks.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Than it did with the original FASA.
I think the original game got the reputation of being difficult, and I think the clicks game was obviously it's a clicks game, so it's a lot easier. I think that would be a way in for people at that time.
Because I do know some people, and quite a few actually, who only started playing BattleTech after they played the click game.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Because that was also blind buys, so you'd go into a store and just have bags, you'd blind buy them, and at the time that was when all that stuff was really popular, either with Magic the Gathering or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
and then you get that one pack that was worth nothing. I just wasted all my money on this thing.
But that was the beauty of blind buys. But now people don't even that's other than Magic. I think people look down on blind buys totally. Like nobody would put up with that nowadays.
Well, yeah. Now, I mean, why would you blind buy when you can literally just go get the piece you want at any collectible store?
Yeah. Plus, with eBay and stuff, anything is available anyway. So.
Yeah.
So.
But no, it's definitely a fun question. Like, and I think of two just in a broader context. I think of when the Olympics happened just a little bit ago. The bike race or maybe it was the triathlon.
I think
one of the contests went right by the Gundam Unicorn, and all of the news stories picked up as like, "Hey, look, it's a Transformer."
Yeah, for sure.
God.
Yeah, so it shows that even North America, or actually I think that was the British news that did that. They don't know what Gundam is. Gundam is still not mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Where Transformers obviously is mainstream with the movies and stuff, but I never think of when you say Mech or Mecha, I don't think Transformers.
I don't either. I mean, at least not as an iconic brand.
No, it doesn't associate it with that word. It's not in my brain associated at all.
I think like I said, when Jimster goes, "Oh, do you like mechs or Mecha?" I go, "Yeah, I love Robotech." And I like BattleTech, and then I would go, and I also like BattleTech.
Yeah, and I'd be surprised. Like most people would probably say Macross or Gundam or maybe even Evangelion. Like, especially now, I think newer kids that would probably be the one that's most popular anime wise. Yeah,
even with this Amazon Prime thing, it'll open a whole new thing. And
what about Pacific Rim? Maybe there's kids nowadays saying Pacific Rim or anything more mainstream stuff, right?
That's true, but
Genlock or.
Unlike for us, it's not.
No, it's
the Voltron kids. I think are gonna starting off on a strong foot.
But then again, do you use Voltron? Do you think Mecha? I don't really think Mecha when I think Voltron.
I kind of do.
I'm in the boat of it's a giant robot of some kind that's being piloted.
Oh, it's a mecha. I'm saying it is a mecha, but I don't think mecha when I say it. Like that's
true. It doesn't ring my bell either.
It almost transcends since it was an old property. Almost transcends the word. Like
And I think too, with it being a bit more of a super robot.
Yeah.
I think is another one that really kind of pushes and stretches the definition of mecha. Because I won't lie, like in my head, like more often than not, it is kind of the hard science-y ones.
Yeah. Like, you're not saying Ultraman. You never said Ultraman as Pat. No. That's one of your first ones, right? You never said that for it.
No, but I never saw him as a mecha though.
There you go.
Yeah. But I would put like Gurren Lagann in there for some reason, but that maybe is just because that show is just so iconic itself.
What about got black holes for drills?
Mecha Godzilla. It's right in the name.
Yeah. Well, I made that argument before.
It's Mecha Godzilla might be the one that if you say mecha, people might think that, especially now since he was in the most recent movie. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so listeners, feel free to let us know what comes to mind when you hear mech and mecha. And
poll your normie friends and family. Ask them when you say mecha or mech to them. Ask them what they think. Mech, I'm sure most people would be mechanic. Like I think even though when you search on Google, it suggests mechanic. It doesn't
it's true. It doesn't go to robots.
No. So I would be curious to that too. Like. Just ask some regular people. When you say mech or mecha, what comes to mind? We're so deep into all of it that, like, obviously there's stuff that Brian brings up I have no clue about, and so that's next level. But I'm sure people feel the same way of like Gundam that I feel about some of the weird things he says. So,
yeah,
I think there's a levels of understanding, and I'm curious what the normies actually, how deep it like penetrates. I don't think it penetrates very deep.
I don't either because, again, I think if we go normie route, we're going to see a lot of probably Gundam now because it's a little more, like you said, more commercialized than it was when I started watching Gundam. And Robotech, I think, because Robotech is just...
Even Robotech's been out of the... Yeah, but it's been out of the consciousness for so long.
It's been out of the loop for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, older people for sure, but younger kids, I doubt they... Transformers, I guess, if they even associate those two words, because that's been around. It always has something around.
Yeah, so maybe the newer kids might think Transformers because of the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even them, they're getting pretty old now, too. That's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Even kids don't even think about those.
Yeah. Well, there was, even like the Transformers Prime TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, cartoons for sure. But they never call themselves Mech or Mecha in that, so I think that would be the thing. Do any of them call themselves that, though? I wonder.
No, they
Battletech's obviously do.
They call themselves Transformers, that's it.
Yeah, but other things, like Gundam don't call themselves Mecha. That's just a word that's been associated with them. And same with Robotech, or Macross, I don't think they call them Mecha. The mechs, or Battletech, it's a short form of a battle mech. It's usually has a little comma in front to say it's a short form for battle mech. Mm-hmm. But it's just it's one of those things, it's a watcher word where the people who watch it have a word for it, but I don't think it's ever actually used in any of not very many that I can think of any of the actual shows. Yeah, there you go.
All right. That was actually kind of very informative, actually. Well, I was just curious. I mean,
yeah,
it was interesting.
I wish I knew where that sparked in my head, and it happened. It was in a conversation someone was talking. I overheard at Gen Con.
That's odd. It probably wasn't about Mecha at all, though. It was probably about something else. No,
right? It was something about something else, and I said, "Oh, that would be a really nice topic to discuss."
Is it when every time I would show Armada, they'd mention some old other crappy?
No, not Man of War.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, like all the time.
Or the Star Wars Armada.
Yeah, a lot of people were like confused about that. The name, yeah.
It's
like,
true.
Armada.
They did ask about that, so.
But it's like, no, Armada's a word.
Oh, well. I'll remember 4 days later, and it'll be irrelevant at that point.
Well, when you post the show and all the little things, you can say, post note. This is why I came up with this subject.
I'll put it in all caps. I remember now.
This only makes sense once you listen to the episode, but this is what I remember.
All right, well, let's, so to recap, Robotech, Gundam, and Battletech pretty much are the three iconic brands at this point, I think, that most people would associate with mechs and mecha.
Yep, For
yeah,
sure.
I think that's fair.
I mean, those are a solid 3, right?
Mm-hmm. They have the most lasting power right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, guys, let's move on to Exfil, and we can wrap this circus up.
Let's exfil out of here.
All right, guys. Time to wrap it up in the Exfil. Good talk on brand naming, and hopefully any new listeners would check all this other stuff out, which they probably don't need to, because if they're listening to this show, they probably know but more than we do.
Yeah.
Probably.
So, but who's next?
Oh, now you have to ask this kind of questions.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be Rob.
I think it's Rob. So Rob's
yes,
on
I'm
deck.
next.
Rob's the next host on deck, coming for November. So it'll probably be turkey-related mechs. What is your favorite turkey mech?
No,
oh wait, he's Canadian. So next month is his Thanksgiving thing.
All right, no, mine's in a week.
Oh, jeez.
My Thanksgiving's in a week.
You guys and your crazy rules.
From
That sounds like it should be a G Gundam episode. Talk about different cultures and their mechas.
Yeah, we have a lot of ideas, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think we've done some cool casting ones. We haven't done that in a while. Maybe we should do some casting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we'll do that.
Got a lot of things on plate here, so. Quick shout out, Rhino's Hobbies in Schaumburg. If you're a Gundam player in the Chicago area, go check it out.
Not Schaumburg. Elgin.
Or no, sorry, Elgin. Sorry, Elgin. Just so used to saying Schaumburg. Go check it out. It's a good little store. Nice owner.
Yeah, super nice guy.
No Night Games. So go check out their discount dungeon. Spend hours getting old books.
Yeah, not much Battletech stuff. I expected more Battletech stuff in there.
I did too.
But yeah, next time, actually, if we ever go back there, which we might, I would definitely order ahead and pick up. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, we got there right when it opened, and they have like a huge warehouse behind that. The store is only the front part. This building is giant. It's like the size of a Walmart, I'd say. And so I can only imagine what's back in that warehouse. It would be like, to go through there would be amazing. So.
It's true. All right. Well, for Mobile Armor Radio, I've been Chopper.
I've been Brian.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll see you next month. Gobble, gobble.
That's this month. What are you talking about? So confused.
No, I'm October. You're November. So next month will be gobble, gobble.
Yeah, October. Gobble, gobble. This is gobble, gobble time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I said I'll see you next month. Gobble, gobble.
But that's this month.
I think he's saying that his Thanksgiving's in October.
No, I'm signing off on my episode. Which will be
was that a Canadian gobble, gobble? You have to say A at the end.
Hey, gobble, gobble, you big hoser.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. Now I understand.
All right.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter at @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more mecha discussion.
Your dog was gentle with my calf as he chewed
Well, I
on
heard.
it.
Well, when he chewed the base off
Oh, jeez.
the bottom, and I heard that crack. I'm like, "What are you eating?" And I saw this laser rifle sticking out from underneath his nose.
Oh, no.
I'm like, "What is that?" So I've since moved your cab to a place where you can't just. But the funny thing is, Rob has wrapped in this egg crate foam to keep him safe, and he just stuck his nose in there and pulled one out.
Oh, man.
All right, ready?
I'm keeping all that in because I want to prove that your dog's a dick.
Well, no, I freely admit that my dog is a dick.